Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Enhancing the Ties Between Mauritius and Belgium, organized by JurisTax in collaboration with the Economic Development Board of Mauritius, the Belgian Mauritian Business Club, MCB Private Banking, CBL-ACP, and Expat Building. This whole idea for today's event started back when the Economic Development Board organized a roadshow in May 2022 and where the EDB participated to an event organized by the CBL-ACP in Brussels. Please allow me to give you a brief introduction of myself, Lucqman Issack, who will be your moderator for today's webinar. With us today, we have also Mrs. Jaya Doomun from the Economic Development Board, Ms. Taroonah Doolub from JurisTax, Mr. Olivier Brun from MCB Private Banking, Mr. Michel Moreau from the Belgian Mauritian Business Club, and Mr. Rajnish Bhunjun from Expat Building. Quickly, the webinar will be as follows. The first part will be Why Mauritius, delivered by Mrs. Jaya Doomun, who will elaborating on the role of the Economic Development Board in Mauritius, Mauritius as an international financial center, and the benefits of investing from Mauritius. The second part of the webinar will be Work, Live, and Invest in Mauritius, will be delivered by Ms. Taroonah Doolub, providing an insight on work and live in Mauritius, acquisition of property in Mauritius, investing in or through Mauritius. Then the third part will be the private banking and wealth manager from Mr. Olivier Brun. Then we will have Mr. Michel Moreau from the Belgian Mauritian Business Club, will elaborate on the existence of Belgian in Mauritius. Finally, Mr. Rajnish Bhunjun will give a quick insight on the real estate market in Mauritius. So without any delay, I will leave the lead to Mrs. Jaya Doomun.
Thank you, Lucqman. Good morning, everyone. So before I give you an overview of the Mauritius jurisdiction, let me provide you a brief introduction of who we are, the Economic Development Board. So the next slide. The Economic Development Board operates under the aegis of the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development. And our main role is to promote and attract investment in the country. We also do business facilitation. So if you have a business project, you come to the EDB, we can facilitate your project. We will advise you when you need to apply for your license, and we handhold you as an investor. Apart from that, for some of the sectors, we are also the regulator. For example, for the pre-port sector, we are the promotion body, but we are also the regulator. And we are also responsible for country branding. Next slide, please. With regard to Mauritius, so when you look at a world map, very often, you don't find Mauritius. This small dot in the Indian Ocean does not appear. We are strategically located in the Indian Ocean at the crossroad of Africa, Asia, and Australia. We are 7 hours flight from main cities, and we have an ideal time zone of GMT+4. In terms of the main statistic, we have a population of 1.3 million, a hybrid legal system where the ultimate court of appeal is the Privy Council, a GDP per capita of 8,404 USD, a democratic country, and also an ideal time zone GMT+4 and rated Baa3 from the Moody's. we are also one of the most thought after exotic destination, a well-known tourist destination. But you will be surprised that apart from being a tourist destination, we are also a well-diversified economy. So in the 70s, we were a monocrop industry where sugarcane was there. In the 80s, a manufacturing sector, the manufacturing sector had set a base. And then in the 90s, the government diversified to new growth pole areas, to the services sector. And you would see today from the slide, we have various sectors, the manufacturing sector that contributes 13.3% to the GDP, the financial services sector, construction, and other relevant sectors like logistics, knowledge, and healthcare that contributes significantly to the Mauritius gross domestic product. Next slide. So in terms of a business destination, we are ranked first in Africa and in various accolades. So be it in the ease of doing business, we are ranked first in Africa. In the Mo Ibrahim Index, we are ranked first, even in the Heritage Foundation for best countries for business, ranked 39th globally. And all these rankings shows to you of us being a resilient economy. So next slide, Lucqman. I will now provide you with an overview of the Mauritius International Financial Center. So as the ecosystem, we have two regulators, the Bank of Mauritius that regulates all the banking activities, and the Financial Services Commission that regulates all non-banking activities. So this sector contributes 13.9% to GDP. And you would see that in terms of banking, we have like around 19 banks, global and local banks in the country, each operating in niche segments. For cross-border investment, we have a number of global business companies that are present in Mauritius, having a multiplier effect on the economy. With regard to the capital market, it's you can list, trade, and settle in 4 different countries. And we also have a number of support and professional services, be it international law firms, stock accountancy firms as well. Next slide. So in terms of global business companies, if you are a company operating, doing business outside of Mauritius, and you are 100% foreign owned, so you would be classified in Mauritius as a global business companies. As at date, we have 12,000 global business companies that is already registered in the country. We have more than 950 global funds, and around 180 management company. And this sector is growing at a growth rate of 4.6%. And it's good to know that even during COVID period, the financial services sector remained resilient. Next slide. So we are endorsed by many institutions, the FATF, the OECD, and the EU. We are a whitelisted jurisdiction, and we have demonstrated persist in terms of fully implementing the FATF action plan, and we have met on the 40 on 40 recommendation, and I would say here we are the best student in the class. So next slide, Lucqman. Why Mauritius? So you might be wondering why Mauritius? Why should we invest in Mauritius? In fact, we have a conducive business environment. So if you are setting up your company, there is an efficient incorporation of a company. When you're setting up, you are allowed 100% foreign ownership. There is, for some business activities, no minimum capital requirement. And also there is no foreign exchange control in Mauritius, which is in fact a good selling point, given the fact that in Africa, in many African countries, there is exchange control, and you can use Mauritius for this particular reason. Next slide. So in terms of the platform itself, like we say, Stella Clavis Maris Indice, the Latin word for Mauritius being the star and key of the Indian Ocean, having an efficient communication system, connected to the fiber optic cables. We also have state-of-the-art fixed and mobile telephone network, well-developed infrastructure, physical infrastructure, a free port zone which has a worldwide recognition, and also an international airport with modern terminal. With regard to the fiscal advantages, so there is a flat corporate tax of 15%, no capital gains tax, dividend, and interest. There is the possibility of free repatriation of profits, no estate duty, inheritance, or wealth tax, and possibility of partial exception on specific income. Apart from that, we have an extensive network of a double taxation agreement and investment promotion and protection agreement. We have highly qualified professionals, and here I would say bilingual professionals, both English and French. We have an innovative stock exchange and the only African exchange to offer multi-currency trading. We also have a robust banking system with capital adequacy ratio that all banks are meeting at 19%. Mauritius, we are the ideal bridge for Asia and Africa. In fact, the relationship of Mauritius with Asian countries and African countries is embedded in history, and our people are of diverse cultures, of diverse faith as well. And this relationship has been translated into business as well, where we have signed agreements with many countries, be it an FATA signed with Turkey, the FATA signed with China, a SECA agreement signed with India. We are part of SADC and COMESA, and all these agreements give us access to more than 70% of the world population. Next. So through our global business sector, this map is a real testimony to show to you that there is cross-border investment happening in Mauritius. And if you see up this map, there are inward investment and outward investment through our global business sector. You will see that there is a significant amount of inward investment from Europe coming to Mauritius. And even if you see in terms of Africa, so there is significant amount of investment using Mauritius and going into the African region. So if we speak specifically at Africa, next slide, you would see this map shows to you that the number of countries that the investment from Mauritius is going and in which African countries. And if you look at this map, the top region being Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. And the reason for them using Mauritius has been the time zone, the bilingual population, the stability that we have in the country, and also the network of double taxation agreement. But here I would like to emphasize that 53% of investment that have used Mauritius to Africa have not been using the double taxation agreement. The reason for them using Mauritius has been other factors. Now, in terms of the real contribution to Africa, so next slide, you would see that for each of the region, there has been significant contribution in terms of jobs, in terms of tax revenues. And let's say if we take South Africa, you would see that for the amount of investment going to South Africa, there were 132,000 jobs that were created and also tax revenues that were contributed to the African economy. Next slide. Next. So in terms of investment opportunities, there are a number of investment opportunities that the financial platform provides to you. There are a number of investment schemes that have been put in place to provide you with the best environment to set up in Mauritius and to doing business in Mauritius, use Mauritius as a platform for Africa and even for Asia. So you will find that there is the investment banking license. There is a scheme specifically attached to the global headquarter administration license, even a scheme attached to asset and fund manager certificate, and even family and multifamily office. And each of these schemes provide you with tax holiday, but of course there is a certain substance requirement that has to be met in terms of job creation and in terms of the operating expenditure in the country. Next slide. So apart from us being a business destination, we are also an ideal place to establish one's home. And our next speaker would provide you with more detail on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Doomun, for this detailed insight on Mauritius. Now I'll leave the floor to Ms. Taroonah Doolub.
Thank you, Lucqman, and thank you, Jaya. In fact, if I was not already living in Mauritius after watching your slides and your arguments, I would really consider moving in either for business or to live and have a lifestyle here. So thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Taroonah and I'm going to talk to you about how can you become a resident in Mauritius and why should you consider using Mauritius to invest either here in the country itself or outside. So before going into the gist of the subject, let me give a brief overview of who we are, who I'm representing today. It's JurisTax. What does JurisTax do? We are a corporate service provider headquartered in Mauritius and have been in operation for the last 15 years now. What we do, we provide, first of all, legal advice to anyone who wants to consider Mauritius as a place to live, to work, or to invest. And based on what the client is looking for, is it succession planning, is it tax optimization, or is it growth of its wealth or management of its assets, we will advise on this type of structure to be able to do that. And also in what way should it happen, and provide all the services that the entity would require to be compliant with all the laws here. Starting from simple setup, administration, secretarial, accounting, tax filing, whatever service a person would require could be provided by us, JurisTax. So this is a bit our expertise, and we have been assisting about 2,000 clients now. And we have offices here in Mauritius. We're also present in different other countries such as Dubai, Seychelles, and Singapore. So this is about us. Moving on as to the gist of the subject of my presentation, which is about work and live in Mauritius. So if my colleague would just move to the next slide, you will see that there are different ways for someone to get the required permit to come and live in Mauritius. The most common ones you will see on your screen here are investor permit, professional permit, or retired non-citizen permit. What is an investor permit? It is any businessman who would want to come and live in Mauritius, but also do business in Mauritius. And for that, he needs to have an initial amount of investment of about 51,000 euros, which is kept in a bank account in Mauritius for him to be able to get his permit. The permit is normally for 10 years and renewable after 10 years. There's a whole list of criteria that the person should respect, but it is the most commonly acquired permit by our own clients, the investor permit, which is requested to the EDB. Professional permit of those who are looking for a job in Mauritius, and for that they need to earn a minimum salary by a Mauritian company of about 1,400 euros. The professional permit is also renewable, being applied to the EDB. There is the self-employed permit, which is lesser used nowadays, but it's available for any self-employed. He needs to meet with an initial amount. He needs to put that into the company and make sure his turnover is meeting what is being required by the law. But he will get a renewable permit as well. And then we've got the retired non-citizen permit, which is applicable for anyone having more than 50 years old and who would want to come and take his retirement in Mauritius. He will definitely need to make a monthly transfer to a bank account in Mauritius of about 1,500 euros. All these four permits, they all come to go to a direct applicant, the one applying for it, but it will also be, they will also be able to give a dependent permit to their spouse, common law partner, or their children of age less than 24 years old. And for all of them, the time period of the permit will be the same, with the possibility to renew. So anyone who would want to come and work in Mauritius would need to choose among the first three: investor, professional, or self-employed, because a retired non-citizen will not allow you to work in Mauritius. So this is about it. Recently, there has been a new visa that have come on the market to allow foreigners who would want to come and see what Mauritius is all about, but without really committing financially or setting up any kind of business here, which is required under the investor permit or self-employed. This is called the premium visa. The premium visa is in fact a visa which allows any foreigner to come and live on the island for a maximum period of 1 year, but with the possibility to renew, to rent around and to look around the island to see whether or not they will feel comfortable to make the big decision to relocate here in the country. So with that type of visa, we have got a lot of application. If I'm not wrong, we have been getting for the last year about 2,000, if I'm correct. So it's becoming very popular, especially because there is no need for you to invest any kind of money, but you cannot work under that permit. You can come and live, but you will need to show that your source of income remains outside Mauritius. So this is the main criteria of being able to get that premium visa. It is easily obtained through a link on the EDB website. And I know many of our clients have tried these before really deciding as to whether or not they want the investor permit afterwards. So moving on from the premium visa, we will see also that apart from creating businesses, companies, or looking for a job, there is a possibility in Mauritius for someone to become a resident by acquiring properties, immovable properties. And it's not that a foreigner can buy anywhere in the country. There are specific places that have been earmarked, and they are either IRS, RES, or PDS, smart city schemes, or whatever. These are the schemes that have been pre-approved by the Economic Development Board and the PMO office, which will allow foreigners to buy properties there and become resident through the acquisition of such immovable property. But eventually, this is more expensive in terms of the price that you need to pay to get access to these to the villas in those schemes. As you may imagine, they are the most beautiful places on the island, and they are on the coast. You've got amazing views. So you need to invest about $375,000. If my colleague would move to the next slide, you will have more details down there. About $375,000. Which makes up roughly about 387,000 euros for a person to be able to get the permit. The permit that is linked with the acquisition of an immovable property in Mauritius, it also allows you to work and will allow you to bring your family members, your spouse, common law partner, children, and your permit will be valid as long as you hold that immovable property. So it's a permit which is technically for life, unless you're willing to sell your villa or apartment in those schemes. Now, many of our clients, they would ask us, okay, I want to buy, I have money, I want to buy a house here in Mauritius. What is the best way to buy the villa? Should I buy in my personal name, or should I create a company to buy the villa? You need to know that in Mauritius, it is totally feasible for a foreigner to buy in his personal name in those different schemes, or to consider already plan in a certain way, either his succession or if he wants to rent, to structure the acquisition in a better manner. And there are different structures that allow for a foreigner to hold that villa at the end of the day. Here we are talking either about the most popular vehicles, at least, are either domestic companies being set up in Mauritius. We've got Société Civile Immobilière, also the same concept as under the French laws, which has been transposed under the Mauritian law. So we've got exactly more or less the same thing there. And then we've also got the common law concepts of trust or foundations, which are also existing under our laws to be able to hold those investments in Mauritius. Moving on, you will see in the next slide that there is a small schema as to how someone who wants to acquire property in Mauritius and that person decides to go for the creation of a Société Civile Immobilière, how it will be, how we'll deal with it, and what should be factors for him to consider. So as I was saying, it's the same thing as Société Civile Immobilière under the French laws. You would need at least two associates, two partners to be able to create that vehicle. And then it's the vehicle, the society who will be the legal owner of the villa in Mauritius. Eventually, in the statute of the society, which is a constitutive document, you could write already and who will be the what you call the usufruct and who will be the real economic what we call here the nu propriétaire. It's really a French concept where it's allowable to split the right of property into two different rights: the one who is the legal owner and the one who will be able to benefit from the villa. And it's a very common use concept by many of our clients to make sure that in the event of any death, there is no succession being triggered, because there is already a distinction between the different property rights. I know it may get a bit complicated for those who are not familiar with this concept, but we'll be happy to answer any question that you may have at the end of the webinar or by email afterwards. Société Civile Immobilière remains one of the most commonly used vehicles to hold properties in Mauritius. Apart from this, we also have the common law, the English-inspired company law, which allows any foreigner to create a company under the Mauritian laws to acquire the villa. And this type of company, what has been termed as a domestic company, it can be owned 100% by a foreigner. And it's a domestic company that will buy and sign the agreement, the deed of sale to acquire the villa. The advantage of having a company is really for you to be able to account for all the different expenses for the maintenance of the house. And if tomorrow you want to rent the house, you make sure that the rental money is being accrued, not to yourself as an owner, but through a company. You make sure that it's a company who will be the one receiving the rental income and paying taxes from the Mauritian company on the rental income, which will be normally fixed at 15%, with the possibility for you to make sure that all the different expenses that are linked with the villa are being accounted in the books of the domestic company. So it also remains a very interesting vehicle. And for those who are not comfortable with société, domestic companies is a very good option to consider. If you will move to the next slide, we will see that, okay. Apart from these two, the two different types of vehicles that I've explained, the mostly, I would say, reason why would someone come to us and tell us, I'm considering to create a company in Mauritius, it is really for these reasons, as you can see on the screen. There are clients who are looking for succession planning. There are clients who are looking for vehicles to hold their investments, whether the investments will be in Mauritius, as explained just before, the investment in the real estate, or whether it will be investment outside Mauritius. It could be movable or immovable. There are clients who would come to us asking for consultancy companies. They want to be able to invoice from a low tax jurisdiction. We've got clients who are engaged in global trading. They are doing import and export, and they want to consider either using our Freeport, the Mauritian Freeports sector, or just having a company in Mauritius to be able to do the import and export. So these are the most commonly projects, I would say, or demands that we get for our clients. If you are if you feel that one of these different projects are yours, we would be very happy to discuss with you to know more and be able to advise as to the best structure. We have tried to illustrate a scenario of someone who is considering setting up a company in Mauritius for the purpose of holding its investment. So as you can see here, a client who is telling us that I am in the agriculture sector and I'm doing agriculture in Madagascar, and today, instead of having my own name setting up a company in Madagascar, I would like to see how I can use Mauritius as a platform to do that. So what we suggest to those clients is consider the setting up of what we call here a global business company, which is in fact a company whose principal purpose should be doing business outside Mauritius, but it is a tax resident in Mauritius, which means that it will be subject to taxes in Mauritius at the rate normally of 15%, but there is a partial exemption of 80% on certain types of income. If we stick to the same example and we consider the GBC holding the shares of a Madagascar company, instead of a person holding the shares in his personal name, how it will work is once the Madagascar company has paid the taxes on its profit and the profits of the Madagascar company is coming to the Mauritian company, there will be the possibility to claim the foreign tax that have been paid, and hence at the level of a global business company in Mauritius, there will be no taxes. Because the GBC is a tax resident, it means that it will take advantage of the double taxation agreement that Mauritius has with Madagascar and make the withholding taxes on dividend payment from Madagascar lower. It can get very technical, so I'm going to stop here, but just for you to be aware, having a Mauritian company interposed between the underlying investee company and you as a shareholder, you make sure that you are able to keep your funds offshore and you're able to use that funds for reinvestment in the most tax efficient manner. If we continue to scenario 2, because I'm sure there will be one indeed. So scenario 2 is about a company who is considering to do international trading. So it's a company who is buying and selling from one country to the other, and who is considering why not Mauritius. So for you to be aware, this is what we normally call the global trading. And here, if you set up a Mauritian company, you will be taxed at 3% only on the profits of a global trading company. For anyone who is interested, Mauritius remains one of the top countries in terms of connectivity, as Jaya was explaining. And this is something to consider also because the Mauritian company is not subject to any capital gains tax. So tomorrow you want to sell your business, you will not be paying taxes on the plus-value. There is no foreign exchange control. So it's a very interesting situation for any investor to consider. If we move on to the next slide. So this is my part in terms of how you can consider Mauritius to do investment, either investing into the country itself or investing outside the country, but using the Mauritian laws for companies, trusts, foundation, or the other vehicles that are allowable. So thank you so much for your attention. I leave the floor to Lucqman.
Thank you, Ms. Doolub. I think you have set the base for Mr. Brun to take over and really provide what are the finance solutions regard to those investment strategies available here in Mauritius.
It's exact, Lucqman. I think Taroonah and Jaya did put forward all the incentives, and benefits of using the Mauritius jurisdiction for investments and business needs. The next step would be the critical task of finding the ideal business banking partner, and that's why I'm here today to talk to you about the MCB Group and MCB Private Banking. So at a glance, MCB has been established since 1838. We are headquartered in Mauritius, although we have a physical presence in other countries, which I would go through in the other slides. Our total assets account to $16 billion to date, with a workforce of 3,700 employees locally and overseas. We are an investment grade status bank, the highest rated African commercial bank when it comes to long-term deposit rating. And we are also the highest rated company group in Mauritius by CARE Ratings, which is the local equivalent of Moody's here in Mauritius. Some of our accolades, we are the first bank in East Africa when it comes in terms of tier 1 capital, which is one of the main indicators of the financial health of a banking institution. And we have received in numerous occasions been rewarded as best private bank in Mauritius, and also this year as well. So the last ones you see here is 2021, but again this year by the Banker, which is a publication of Financial Times, we have been awarded again the best private bank in Mauritius. So why is that? I will tell you more in the next slides, please. So Telling you more about MCB, obviously we are listed on the local stock exchange. We account today about 1.8 million US dollars as market capitalization on the local stock exchange, which is roughly 29% of the total market capitalization on the SEMDEX, which is our local stock exchange. Value of shares traded would be around 90 to 100 million dollars, depending on each year. And our market share on the local banking landscape accounts to 49%, which makes of MCB a major player in the local banking landscape. Our base of shareholders are really diversified. Obviously, most of it accounts for local shareholders, but we do have foreign investors as well, whether these are individuals or institutional. We are also a constituent of the SAM Sustainability Index and the MSCI ESG rating as well. Next slide, please. Our presence, so I was talking to you about our presence globally, so it's mostly regionally. We have banking operations here with a headquarters in Mauritius, but other banking operations through our subsidiaries in Madagascar, Seychelles, and Maldives. We also hold representative offices in South Africa, in Johannesburg, in Nairobi, Kenya, and also in Dubai, in the DIFC, so the Dubai International Financial Center. And also we have partnerships with Société Générale and Banque Française Commerciale Océan Indien, so BFCOE, in Mayotte, Réunion, and in Paris. So this accounts for presence in about 10 countries, but we have a network of 460 correspondent banks, which allows us to move our clients' funds globally as and when required. And maybe one thing I wanted to highlight as well is MCB doesn't also only service clients, but we also have a Bank of Banks initiative where we do provide consultancy services to other banks in Africa and globally. And to date, we have about 80 banks that we are assisting on that purpose on different sectors. Next slide, please. So a zoom on our segment, which is my segment. So I'm a private banker myself within the private banking international segment. We have a team of private bankers which are dedicated to specific regions globally. Our main ones being South Africa, Europe, and the Middle East and Africa region. And we have also employees working for us in South Africa primarily. Next slide, please. So our core services at MCB Private Banking, as you can expect, is the wealth management services, which includes discretionary portfolio management services and non-discretionary portfolio management services. The difference between these two are really the discretionary one being when someone doesn't have the time ready to follow the market. So we'll be taking care of his investments on his behalf, and we'll be managing the portfolio within set parameters that have been agreed with the clients prior to the beginning of the investments. On the other hand, the non-discretionary portfolio management services is really where the client would like to have a hands-on approach on the decisions taken on his portfolio and investments. So at any time we would be making proposals, and before implementing this, there would be a discussions with the client prior to the implementation. We have a portfolio advisory services as well for some clients who would like an indication or some guidance from our team on what would be the ideal investment solutions for their requirements. We offer custody services where we are able to safeguard your assets globally, so shares, bonds, funds that you would hold. So we can hold this through our subsidiary, which is MCB Custody. The execution of trades. So if you are very at ease with the markets and you know exactly what you're doing, so we can be there only to execute your trades, buy, sell on all mature markets globally. Until today, this has been done by email through our trading desk. but very soon at the beginning of the year, we will be implementing an online trading platform through our mobile app, which is called Juice by MCB. I will tell you more about Juice later on, but it was important for me to highlight that as from the beginning of 2023 and onwards, we will be implementing those online trading capacity for our clients, and also the financial planning services, which would be very helpful for our clients. Other than the wealth management services, you can also expect financing solutions for our clients. These can be in the form of Lombard facilities where we could pledge your investments held with MCB and provide for very cost-effective financing solutions for your specific requirements. We can also assist, Taroonah and Jaya did speak about the acquisition of properties in Mauritius. So this is something that MCB can assist with through our mortgages and other type of solutions. And we can also assist with financing for the purchase of specific assets, whether they are located in Mauritius or abroad, which will be treated then on a case-to-case basis. Next slide, please. So really, in a sense, along with your wealth management, we also take care of your banking needs, saying that our core business is the wealth management side, but obviously you can expect all of the other facilities offered by a traditional bank by using MCB Private Banking as your partner. So we can offer accounts in all major hard currencies globally. So US dollar, euro, pounds, Australian dollar, Swiss francs, and so on. Local and worldwide transfers, this is no issues through our network of correspondent banks. Online banking, we have a very user-friendly internet banking facilities from where our clients can view their accounts at their convenience as well as their portfolios, but they can also transact online at their convenience, obviously up to specific thresholds for security parameters, but then we can also assist remotely for their transfer requirements for larger transfer amounts. So this will be discussed with a private banker at the time. For mobile banking and investment, so I'll talk to you about our mobile banking app, Juice, which it was really the first mobile app issued by a bank here in Mauritius. And since then, it has really developed into a very, I would say, intuitive tool for our clients where every day they can see their accounts, view balances, check their portfolios, statements, and everything from the mobile. So this is very helpful nowadays. And with the implementation very soon of our wealth platform through that mobile app, it would also be possible for our clients to pass on their trade orders there, so we could buy their preferred assets, securities on markets globally. Financing solutions, I've covered that previously, which leads me to the cards that we can offer to our clients, so you can access your funds globally. So we have a World Debit Card, which we can offer to our clients, so they can make their purchases globally through the POS machines or also online. We can also offer credit cards, whether these are in the local currency, the Mauritian rupee, but also in foreign currency as well. And the credit cards can be issued through all the main service providers, namely Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. Next slide, please. So what else you can expect from MCB Private Banking? Obviously, the bank, the wealth management, but also the lifestyle here. So why choosing us? It's the proximity and the personalized service. Our team of private bankers do regularly travel overseas to meet our clientele. I did speak to you about the private banking international. I'm focusing on that because I'm part of a team, but we have a local segment as well. And maybe at the end of the slide, I will tell you more about the holistic solutions available there. So the proximity and personalized service that you can get through your private banker and his assistant and the rest of the team. We have dedicated banking lounges in Mauritius throughout our main branches located here in Mauritius, where our clients can come in, enjoy a cup of coffee and do their banking at the same time. We have a complimentary concierge service that we offer to our clients. The concierge service obviously is applicable locally, but also internationally. The exclusive card offers, I've talked to you about this earlier. And finally, the most exciting one for some clients would be our private events. So every year we do sponsor a number of golf events here, the Senior European Tour being one of them, but also some events around art and culture, and also some wine tasting events, which many clients would like. So these are events that we have scheduled every year, but obviously since the COVID, we had to reinvent ourselves on that side, but it's kicking back up. And in about 1 week, our golf event is starting here, with clients having the opportunity of playing with world-renowned golfers on Mauritian golf tracks, but also some of them coming for our corporate hospitality event and coming to enjoy nice lunch and some drinks while watching the golf tournament as it goes by. Next slide, please. Maybe one thing I would like to highlight here. So I've gone through the private banking international. As I mentioned, there is a private banking local segment, but MCB is not only about private banking. We are a commercial bank and obviously can assist with your holistic solutions we can provide through the private banking, retail segment, but also the corporate segment, from which you can expect financing for your different businesses. Taroonah did mention the offshore sector in Mauritius and how we can assist you through entities to optimize your business. So here MCB can open accounts for your business and assist for financing if it is required. And to be able to form part of a private banking clients, you will be required, there is an eligibility criteria, which is really guidelines as issued by the central bank, the regulator, the Bank of Mauritius. So to become a private banking client, the requirement would be for you to maintain a minimum of $500,000 as investable assets with MCB. Obviously, investable assets being cash on current accounts, it can be cash in fixed deposits or your securities and investments held under a portfolio with MCB. Now, this is for the private banking, but we will be able to cater for requests falling outside the scope of private banking, especially if you're coming to Mauritius for the acquisition of property, or if you are the beneficial owner of an entity holding an account through our corporate team. We will be very happy to assist for the opening of your accounts, provided a minimum of $50,000 and monthly fees of $25 are catered for. So thank you for this. If you have any questions, I believe we can come back to this at the end of the session. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brun. As our today's webinar title says, the objective is to enhance our ties with Belgium. So I believe it's very important to have feedback from someone, a Belgian citizen. So let's welcome Mr. Michel Moreau from the Belgian Mauritian Business Club, who will provide you with these details. Michel?
Okay. Yes, you hear me?
Now it's okay, you can.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Lucqman, and hello, everyone. The Belgian Mauritian Business Club was created in 2011 by a short circle of friends, Belgian friends, resident in Mauritius. And the aim of this club, it's an informal club, first of all. We are not Chamber of Commerce in different countries. We have Chamber of Commerce Business Club here in Mauritius. We have the consulate. Our embassy is in Dar es Salaam, and the aim of this club is to help, is to be a facilitator between the investors, Belgian investors coming in Mauritius. Most of the case, they think they know something about Mauritius, but we have seen so many failed in their project. So it's important via the consulate or the embassy, they advise those candidates for investment in Mauritius to contact us as a Belgian business club, because we can give some advice from people like us who experience for years the business in Mauritius. And I can say for myself, I'm here for 15 years now, and I can say definitely it's an easy doing business country. I've practiced for 30 years in Africa before, and there is no comparison, you know. So definitely it's an easy doing country. We recommend everyone to start with their question, not only with us, but with the main, what we consider is the main portal in Mauritius, which is the EDB. So and therefore we have very soon, the 2nd of December, we have the opportunity to invite the CEO or probably the deputy CEO of EDB. It will be in Flying Dodo Friday 2nd at noon for a session to give the opportunity to EDB to explain to the mostly the expatriates to allow them to ask a question, you know, because we have seen so many people think they understand all the regulations, the law, etc. But we think it's important to get you know, this kind of meeting with a speaker and get a presentation of EDB. Something like we did in Brussels recently with the Chamber of Commerce, CBL-ACP. We did it in the first semester, and definitely the membership is it's wide open. So of course at the beginning we asked first about Belgian working and resident in Mauritius, and all the Mauritian linked with Belgian business and so on. But we definitely decided to move on and to open very wide, and every Mauritian, French people, European nationality can come with us and to benefit of the get-together and the meeting we have with such personality from the banks, from the authority of Mauritius and so on, to help definitely to do business in Mauritius, also to help Mauritian to do some business in Belgium, because the Mauritian Business Club has a very good partner, Philippe Gysemans, notably, who started the BMBC, we call it BMBC, the Belgian Mauritian Business Club, with a head in Brussels, to be present in Belgium and to be able to do the connection with the Chamber of Commerce, with the the contact with the AWEX. In Belgium, we have the Flemish part and the Wallons part. So AWEX came here several times, and every time the Belgian Business Club was in the loop to organize jointly with the AWEX, notably, or the FIT in Flemish, the Brussels trade as well. So Philippe will be happy to help and to be a federator between all these entities, as everyone knows in Belgium it's not so easy between all these associations, but he knows this particularly well. And he has the advantage to know well Belgium and to know Mauritius. So it could be an asset to help our citizens to help them to come in and invest in Mauritius. So the Belgian the executive committee, it's five people, let's say. So we are enlarged it for the moment, and we will be soon at least 6 or 8 people in the executive committee, as we want to do much more. So I invite you to visit our website, and we are at your disposal for any question. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Moreau. Now I will call upon Mr. Rajnish Bhunjun, who will provide an insight on the real estate market in Mauritius. Note that from the Expat Building Management, represented by Mr. Philippe Gysemans.
Thank you, Lucqman. Hello, everyone. I am Rajnish Bhunjun, and I will introduce you to our company, Expat Building Management, the real estate partner for expatriates. Next slide, please. No, in fact, it's the previous one. Thank you. So our company relies on a long experience in architecture and real estate expertise. From the outset, the company has specialized in the construction and renovation of high-end projects, for which our dedicated team targets to monitor on an end-to-end basis. Next slide, please. The management is led by Mr. Philippe Gysemans, who is on the call today with us, and he is a Belgian architect, specialized in the development of projects at the international level. Choosing Expat Building Management means choosing a multidisciplinary team made up of architects, engineers, decorators, and other professionals who are all committed to supporting you in all your projects with their know-how, their rigor, and their availability. We personally ensure that the final result perfectly meets the wishes of our clients by ensuring the scrupulous control of each project. We work with reliable partners who share our vision, and at each stage of the project, we ensure strict quality control as well as compliance with budgets and deadlines to provide you with the peace of mind you are entitled to expect. Our team is spread across Belgium, France, and Mauritius. Next slide, please. Here is the scope of the services we offer: construction, renovation, and conversion of prestigious properties, project management to maintain and develop your real estate assets, real estate appraisals, including a whole range of technical advice, assistance with the acceptance of works, inventory of fixtures, and much more. Next slide, please. Now you are in Mauritius. You own one or more real estate assets abroad. We assist you in the administrative and technical management in order to preserve your wealth. You want to develop your wealth abroad, we support you in the research, feasibility study, performance, etc. You own a property in Mauritius, our project management service is at your disposal for any construction, renovation, or development in compliance with European standards. You wish to acquire a property in a property development scheme program, we accompany you in research or assembly of such a program. These services are organized from our agency in Belgium, and all means of communication are set up to ensure complete and transparent reporting. Now, for a specific missions to Mauritius, we travel on request. You are abroad. You have an expatriation or business development project in Mauritius. We assist you in the realization of the real estate component of your project with the help of our local partners, which include real estate agencies and companies, etc. We can also hire the services of our partners on site, which are lawyers and tax experts. You wish to acquire a property in a property development scheme program, we accompany you in research and or the assembly of such a program from Belgium. Next slide, please. Here is an overview of real estate transactions in Mauritius, which shows that the market is very active and that Mauritius is a destination of choice for real estate investments. Next slide, please. To end this presentation and then answer any questions that you may have about real estate development in Mauritius, here are our contact details. We will be happy to answer your queries. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Rajnish. So I believe we have covered all the different sections of this webinar. We have a question for Ms. Doolub, first of all, from the audience. If ever there is an investment from any non-citizen, what is the applicable taxes on the repatriation of any funds?
Investment in Mauritius for immovable property? I'm assuming it is immovable property.
Yes.
Okay, let us take an example of someone who has invested in immovable property in Mauritius and has taken our advice and has gone through the setup of a proper structure to do that investment. So if tomorrow there is any kind of repatriation, so there will be two ways, if I may. First one would be, let us take the example, someone tomorrow wants to sell that immovable property that he has acquired through the structure. Normally, he will be selling the shares of his company because it is a company which owns the property. By selling the shares of the company, there is a free repatriation without any kind of withholding taxes on the amount that is going to be received by the company as the selling price. There is no taxes to be paid on that. Eventually, there will be what we call here in Mauritius the land transfer tax and the registration duty that will become applicable whenever there is a buying and selling. And this will need to be paid by the company itself, and it will be deducted from the revenue being generated by the company. Once this is done, there is no other taxes on which the amount of money that have been received will be taxed necessarily here. So it's a free repatriation. And the second option would be, I've said if selling the company, and the second option, let us take the example of someone earning rental income through that company and you want to move the money back to your country, the same principle applies. So it's a company that will be subject to taxes on the rental income here in Mauritius after paying taxes on those rental funds. When you are declaring dividends to the shareholders, to the real owners behind the company, there will be no withholding taxes on the payment of dividends. And so it's not going to be taxed here, and you can keep it in the bank account here in Mauritius at the MCB, or you can decide to take the money out in your own country.
Thank you, Ms. Doolub. We have another question, maybe addressed to Mr. Brun. As you know, when we are talking about attracting investors in Mauritius and we have to open a bank account here in Mauritius, it's not necessarily about cash. It means also a portfolio which the investor might already have. So how the MCB can assist in the repatriation of this in capital of the client, of the investor?
Well, indeed, and thank you for this question. These are probably things I should have mentioned. So obviously, before I answer this question, I wish to highlight that you can also open an account even if you are not a Mauritian resident, or even if you don't have any businesses in Mauritius, you are a foreign tax resident and you want to start a relationship with MCB private banking. So this is something we can as well. Now coming to the question, so obviously it's not only about cash being transferred to accounts here, we can also assist and transfer assets directly from one portfolio overseas to the portfolio with MCB. And once the transfer is executed, the client will have the choice of keeping either the cost price of a security or having the market price registered as the cost price, at the time the transfer is made. I hope I answer this question, but obviously before any assets or portfolio are transferred, you will need to contact the bank to confirm that all the securities on the portfolio are transferable, because there are some securities that we will not be able to transfer from one bank overseas to Mauritius. So we will need to first confirm if all the securities are transferable, and then we transfer those that are transferable. And for those that are unfortunately not transferable, we'll have only the option of liquidating them and transferring the cash to the portfolio.
Thank you, Mr. Brun.
Welcome.
I think we don't have any more questions. So thank you, everyone, the panelists, the attendees, for your time, for this webinar.
Thank you. And thank you to
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
all the best.